Banch looked at Orion and said, "The only instruction I can give you is this. In the nearby forest, there's a cave. Inside that cave, you might find the answer to your question. That's all I have for you." He cast a lingering glance toward Lillian, one of subtle admiration, then turned to leave. His two demonic assistants followed close behind. Just as he began to disappear into the shadows, JS stepped forward, eager to speak, but Orion raised a hand and stopped him. Without another word, Banch vanished, just as suddenly as he had come. Frustrated, JS turned to Orion. "Why? Why didn't you let me ask him?" Orion kept his gaze on Lillian and replied, "Because if the Divines didn't assign us a time frame for this task, then we gain more time by not reminding them to do so. That gives us the advantage." JS stared at him, stunned, then scratched his head in disbelief. "Impressive. You knew I was about to ask that. You stopped me right in time." Lillian could no longer hide her frustration. Her voice dripped with disdain. "What did I do to end up entangled with such an unmotivated team? Be real. One of you wastes time pretending to seek wisdom while nearly reminding the Divines to put a deadline on an unsolvable task. And the other is so cursed, he can barely stand." JS took her words personally and fired back. "As if your seductive attitude is going to get us anywhere. If you think I don't know anything, then here's a little insight. Those female figures circling Banch's bloated belly, they're actually spirits of women he's devoured to prolong his life." He paused dramatically, savoring Lillian's reaction, then added with a smirk, "You'd better hope he didn't think your spirit belonged among the missing ones." He burst into laughter. Lillian stood frozen, her face contorted in shock and revulsion. Her blood burned with fury. But before she could act, Orion gently took her arm and led her away. "JS," Orion said over his shoulder, "gather as much information as you can from Arfs about his chain. Lillian, there's something I need to speak with you about." JS watched them go, puzzled. Orion could have said whatever he wanted in front of all of them. So why the secrecy? Then it struck him. Orion didn't want Arfs to hear. But what could he possibly want to say to Lillian that Arfs could know? JS turned to Arfs, who sat curled in on himself, his face buried between his knees. "Arfs, we need to talk about the chain. I know it's painful, but we have to gather whatever we can." There was no response. JS sighed. Arfs was slipping into a dark place. Gently, he placed a hand on Arfs' shoulder. "I'm not going to lie, Arfs. I don't know how you feel, but Orion and I will do everything we can to help you break free. We may not know you well, but for me, I've never trusted the Divines. I hate how they operate. So what I feel isn't just sympathy, it's instinct. Please, pull yourself together and trust us." Arfs turned his head slightly. "I don't need your trust. You're not obligated to help me. I'm just angry you're tangled up with me. I feel like a burden, useless, weak. I wish I were dead instead of like this." JS's heart cracked. "You're not a burden. Lillian's delusional. She still believes the Divines have good intentions. But she's wrong. And listen, after this task, we still have 2 more ahead. Freeing you from that chain would help all of us in the long run." Arfs muttered bitterly. "Look at you, still hopeful. Didn't you hear him? This chain is impossible to break." JS's tone hardened. "I don't believe that. Maybe your people couldn't break them because the Divines forbade it. But now, they haven't stopped us from trying. Arfs shook his head. Do you think the Asuras just accepted these chains? We've tried countless times. We've sacrificed everything. Many killed themselves trying, still nothing. I'm an obstacle the Divines want removed. And I'm fine with fulfilling that, if it keeps you safe. JS stared at him, alarmed. Something in Arf's tone was dangerous, despairing. He was teetering on the edge of something final. But cheering people up was never JS's strength. He could only hope Orion would return soon and say the right words. JS didn't care about his own fate anymore. From the moment he joined this twisted training, he never expected to make it home. But he couldn't stand the idea of Arfs giving up. Especially like this. Finally, Orion and Lillian re-emerged from the forest and joined them once more.